From the creators who brought you RuPaul's Drag Race and $1 Million Listing, this is World of Wonder's Wow Report. Things that make us go wow.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to this week's edition of the Wow Report. We're counting down the top 10 things of the week that make us go wow. I am Fenton Bailey, co-founder of World of Wonder, joined by our Chief Creative Officer, Tom Campbell.
Hello, hello, hello.
And literary sensation, host of our podcast, Night Fever, James St. James.
Why, that's me.
Oh, I love those glasses, James. They're very, what is the
Swifty?
word?
Oh, I was saying Swifty Lazar, but
Swifty Lazar.
Mr. Magoo maybe is
like
probably
Swifty is a good adjective.
We hope everyone had a marvelous July 4th celebrating freedom and praying that continues, that we can do the same thing next year and many years after that. But let's start the countdown at number 10.
Number 10.
I watched the movie A Family Affair. Zac Efron, Nicole Kidman.
Yeah.
And Joey King, who served me one time at Chili's as Ramona.
Wait, she was a waitress at Chili's?
Yeah, it was remember when she was Ramona and Selena Gomez was Beezus and there was Ramona and Beezus? It was like
vaguely, yeah.
Yeah. She was like an unknown.
Wow.
Wait, so as part of selling the movie, as part of the press, she worked at Waffle House or something, or Chili's?
Chili's, yeah. She was like really young and it was like for St. Jude's night or something.
I think we're getting off topic here for a second.
This is so much more fascinating than the movie. I was going to tell you right now.
I'm sorry, Tom. I'm sorry. I just hate to
you're
follow.
good. As you know, I only watch Turner Classic Movies and QVC, but because Owning Manhattan continues to be in the top 10 most viewed shows.
Dominating, yes.
And number 5 in all streaming shows of all streaming networks last week. I go because I need positive reinforcement. So I log on to Netflix, which I never do, and I just make sure that we're still in the top 10, and we are. And as a result, I get lured in a little bit more because I think I watch Netflix so rarely and so sporadically and such different things that there's no good algorithm for me. They're just like, you hate everything. I'm like, that's me. So I thought this is a light rom-com, and I watched it, and I was distracted by two things. And it makes me be very shallow. And this is about me, not about them. But Zac Efron's whole head, but especially his jaw, made me have to Google. And Nicole Kidman, we know, wears wigs when she's on the screen. She has beautiful hair. She chooses, as I would too if I was a woman and had hair, to not sit in hair and make, the hair thing for 19 hours and run her hair. But she had on a thin blonde wig. And I just wish they could have CGI'd in the part so we saw some scalp. You know what I mean? It was just not a great wig. So
as someone who works with drag queens, you are an expert on wig.
Thank you.
Yeah,
and her wigs are usually good. Her wigs are usually good. This one had it was long blonde hair. It went back. The premise is that her daughter, who served Blake at Chili's, is a personal assistant to Zac Efron, who plays kind of a self-absorbed movie idol hunk, like he is. He sort of self-parodies. Accidentally falls in love with her mother, Nicole Kidman. And
Which
it's all about
sounds a little bit like the Anne Hathaway Nicholas Gallison movie a few months ago.
100%. And this is embarrassing for a man who's lived, 6 decades. But I realized that the key to getting through movies on Netflix is to fast forward.
No, you can adjust the speed, right? And just play it faster than regular speed.
Well, I was able just to go and look for Zac Efron shirtless.
People who fast forward are psychotic. People, not fast forward, but who go the double, triple speed.
Oh, that's me. I'm psychotic. Absolutely.
I think it's a sign of autism. I think it's a sign of just weirdness. I think it's.
But what about audiobooks? Because I do audiobooks at 1.4.
I think that's a sign.
James, I'm in a rush. There is not enough time on this planet to learn all that we need to learn. I got to get through it. I got to absorb it. I got to consume it.
But that is doing such a disservice to the author who spends time crafting their sentences, and they want you to listen
we would
to
never fast forward to James St. James.
No, if I ever catch you fast forward going
I'd have to say there are other authors and script writers who don't have the same respect for their audience and therefore need to be skewed. Now, I felt I'd come upon something you guys already knew, because I watch Turner Classic Movies. There's no fast forwarding really, and I don't do it. It's about the pace. I watch everything. But the idea, this was not a good movie, and I was like, oh shit, I'm gonna not watch another movie. And then I thought, no, I am gonna watch it, and it was so much better as a 15-20 minute adventure than as a 2-hour adventure. That's all I'm saying. And I missed some parts, so I went back and I'm like, yep, I got it. It's all good. It was really thin. The most beautiful, like, listen, Zach, he's beautiful, although he never.
I don't find him beautiful anymore. I think post surgery or the post chin accident or whatever.
Yes, which I read about, and I guess that was from an accident. But and he's dark hair. He looks like John Cena now or something. He looks like some kind of, which I would take again. I'm not complaining. Nicole Kidman is kind of flawless. I just seen The Others because there was.
It's funny. I watched The Others and then I watched The Hours right after it too. I did both of those when it was the Nicole Kidman Day on Turner Classic Movies. Yeah.
So this was a light lift for her. And my friend Greg said, "Well, why would she do that movie?" I'm like, because somebody wants to fuck her in it. Somebody hot one. Like wouldn't you do like a rom-com? What did that movie take? 14 days. 14 days. But the person who's aged the best, who is the best looking, and again, I'm shocked at me, was a supporting character, Kathy Bates. Gorgeous. Gorgeous. These other two trying so hard to keep it together and having to be cute. And then Kathy Bates, who plays either her mother or a mentor. I fast forwarded through that part, but she was like the sage one to go to. She was just gorgeous. And isn't she doing a new show? She's doing like on CBS. She's taking over. Who was Matlock? She's Matlock, I think.
What?
So anyway, my big breakthrough was I broke away from watching an hour of Lock and Lock on QVC to watch A Family Affair.
I just want to very quickly point out that in Germany right now, there's a TV show in which Angela Merkel is a detective is doing Miss Marple. But it's not really Angela Merkel. It's an actress. The character Angela Merkel is now a detective solving crimes.
What, in her post-political life?
Yes, that's the conceit of the show. So they have an actress playing Angela Merkel.
That's A Family Affair streaming on Netflix. James, number 9.
Number 9.
Well, I went to go to the movie theater to see Thelma over the weekend. And Thelma, I don't know
what,
if you
what,
know.
no Louise? No Louise?
No, just Thelma. Just Thelma. This is June Squibb, okay? 94 years old. This is her first starring role. She's been acting since the 1950s. This is the first time she has a movie to herself. She is absolutely glorious. It is absolutely hysterical. The first scene, her grandson is trying to teach her how to do the internet, and he's like, well, now scroll down. I don't know why you're scrolling. And and then a pop-up ad comes. She's like, what's that? And he's like, now take your mouse and take it to the X on why do they call it a mouse? If you ever had a conversation with an old person about trying to navigate the internet, it's every conversation I ever had with my mother is so funny. It is so good. She's so funny. Well, she ends up getting scammed out of $10,000, like on a phone scam. And her family is like, I think it's time to put grandma, in the home. She can't live by herself. Well, she decides that she's going to get the money back. She's going to find the scammers and get them back. And
does she have a machine gun?
And yes, she steals a gun. She steals a scooter, like a little rascal. And she and another 90-year-old man go off to find the scammers. And it's one of those things. It sort of like reminds me of one of those 80s movies, like Adventures in Babysitting or After Hours, where it's one night and they have multiple adventures as they're on this quest to sort of take down the scammers, and they keep running into all these other people and many problems keep arising and stuff like that. And in the end, she does. Spoiler, she finds the scammers, and it's just absolutely hysterical.
She has to triumph, right? I mean, there's no way she could get shot and killed, or it comes to an unhappy end, right?
But at no point do you ever worry really about her, because it's just a lovely rom-com. It's just, with 90-year-old stars, and they're all just doing wonderful work. And you just hope against hope that she gets nominated, because it would be such a lovely thing for her to cap out.
What a great idea. This is when you think you've heard them all, a twist on a twist that seems brilliant. Well, where'd you see it? I
saw it at the Grove, And it's one of those perfect, if you have an aging mother, a grandmother, it's just a great movie for the family. And she's also
you take them. You take an aging grandmother.
Yes, definitely. I mean, it is a movie for older. It is tailor-made for older people. It is, and they've realized that 65-year-old plus people want to go to the movies, but they just don't have many options. This is an option for them.
Speaking on behalf of senior citizens, we need air conditioning. We need to be safe. We need to be in cooling centers. Why not watch a movie? Thank you very much.
Exactly.
Yes. Also, June Squibb is also one of the emotions in Inside Out 2. So this is the summer of June Squibb. So God bless her.
Yes.
She's, like I said, since the 1950s, she's been acting in commercials and TV shows and this and that. And this is her first starring role. So God bless June Squibb. She's adorable.
There's hope for all of us.
Hope for all of us. Yes.
That is Thelma in theaters. Now, number 8.
Number 8.
We often talk about hot things on the Wow Report, but this is hot, hot, hot. This is about hotness itself. I was in Palm Springs over the holiday July 4th weekend, and as you might have heard, it hit its all-time high of 124 degrees, actually 125 degrees on July 5th.
Oof.
Which... Right? I mean, it's been hot. It's been hot before, but the last time it broke, I don't quite understand this. The previous record high of 119 was set in 1958. Now, that's odd to say because in June 17, 2021, it was 123. So I don't quite get how the Desert Sun, the paper of record, is doing this, but they wanted to say this, that it's not an ideal record to break, but there's been plenty of advancements in air conditioning in the past 66 years.
Well, but beyond that, are you wearing what do you wear? You aren't in that sweater. I mean, how do you dress for that? How does Elliot deal with it? How do you spend time outside? I want details.
The details are there are three things. You need the air conditioning, you need the fans, shorts and a t-shirt, that's fine, or ideally just sit in the swimming pool because the pool is like a hot bath. It is like a sort of 95
what happens to
degrees.
people who don't have pools or don't have air conditions? I mean, not everyone.
That's not good. I know that is not. And in fact, James, in Death Valley at the weekend, there was it was even hotter in Death Valley, as you might imagine. 134 degrees was the all-time record. I think this was Death Valley this past weekend was 128, but their record was 134 again in 1913. But they had a biker rally, and one of the bikers collapsed. Several actually did from heat exhaustion.
Well, you can't wear leather. Well, you can't wear your leather. What are you doing?
Maybe exactly. But the problem here is that normally you can just get the helicopter, medevac. It all works out. But I had no idea. When air gets hot, it expands and it gets thinner than cold air, and helicopters can't fly in super hot weather. So tragically, one of the bikers passed away because they couldn't get him out expeditiously.
A very practical question. Growing up in New Hampshire, we would sometimes face sub-zero weather in the morning, and we'd have to like flip coins to see who was going to shovel off and then start and warm up the car. When you leave, do you just get into the car, or does someone have to cool it down, or what's the ritual?
Because your car is going to be 100 and 200 degrees.
Oh, it is. It is. The handle of the door is so hot you can't touch it. The driving wheel is so hot you can't touch it. The seat is so hot you can't sit on it.
Wait a minute, but I remember my car wouldn't even start. It said that it was too hot for it to start one time. And my phone, my phone overheated one time in the heat, and it said that it had to cool down before my iPhone worked.
Absolutely. Some cars, like ones made by Tesla, for example, you can activate remotely and you can turn on the airco without having to go outside and then make a dash for it.
Good.
So one good thing about Teslas.
I mean, it's just, global warming, I guess, is really for reals, and is Yes,
Now-
I know it's terrible to be telling these stories like, oh, it was so hot this and so hot that.
But no, but this isn't just. I mean, Palm Springs was extreme, but on the East Coast, everywhere
is under heat. Yeah. My sister won't appreciate this, but my nephew is in prison in Palm Desert, and they don't have air conditioning there, and it was in the hundreds there, and so. I mean, and you can imagine just sweaty men piled on top of each other.
Dangerous.
Yeah.
Different film. So, okay, let's take a quick break. Actually, funny enough, Bravo has a billboard that says the market has never been hotter. And they are, of course, referencing $1 Million Listings LA season 15. Premiered this week. 18 years on the air with this show. Current cast, Josh Altman, the Altman brothers, Tracy Tudor, Josh Flagg, and it's out now. You can watch it on Peacock with new episodes.
I know some people who work on the show, and they say it's the best, spiciest season ever.
That it is, and of course, let's not forget Owning Manhattan with Ryan Serhant, still in the top 10, as Tom says. I think it's like, what was this fabulous fun fact? 512 million minutes
of streaming. Yes,
exactly. Number 5. All right, so let's take a break. Blake, have you got a question?
I do. This band performed their first concert on this day at the Marquee Club in 1962 in London, England. They also have a hit song that is the title of a movie that was Penny Marshall's directorial debut.
Oh my gosh. All right. Well, if we can't figure it out based on all that information, we're dunces. I know I am. We'll have the answer right after the break here on the Wow Report.
You're listening to World of Wonders Wow Report. Things that make us go wow.
Welcome back to the Wow Report. I'm Fenton here with Tom and James and Blake.
Yes, and I asked, this band had their first concert on this day in 1962 at the Marquee Club in London, England. They also have a hit song that was the title of a film that was Penny Marshall's directorial debut in 1986.
Do you want to guess, or you want me to tell you the correct answer?
I'm going to say it's either, you would say 62 is probably the Beatles, but then I'm thinking maybe it's the Stones, and wasn't A League of Their Own?
Would it help you to know that Penny Marshall's first movie was called Jumpin' Jack Flash?
Oh, there you go. Okay. So it was.
You did it.
Yeah, there you go.
I think the Beatles were together in the late 50s. Anyway.
And I definitely am the dunce because I was like, it can only be the Beatles or the Stones, but I had no idea which, for sure.
And Blake, didn't you just say you watched Jumpin' Jack Flash with Whoopi Goldberg?
Yes, for the first time last night. That's what made me.
Well,
yeah. I also Googled pop culture on this day and saw the Rolling Stones. So I was like,
love it. All right. We have a very special number 7.
Number 7.
Today is my 18th anniversary working at World of Wonder.
Wow.
18, which means Elliot's 18. Or, I just think like it is a child's age. It is like, it's just, 18 is an incredible number. And it has been a joy, and it continues to be a joy. It made me think about, I didn't write anything down, but I'm just going to freebase some, like, because
free associate.
Yes. The first 2 big projects that I remember, because I came in as a producer, and then David Schiff was the head of development. He went someplace else. And so there's this gap for head of development. So I kind of took that over. Again, just so much, it's such a, I don't know if you agree. I feel like such a great fit at World of Wonder, just like opportunities abound everywhere. And it was just fun to fill the holes and that sounded dirty.
So you're freebasing and filling holes. This is
well, it's so hot, you got to do something.
Yeah.
But the contrast, the first 2 shows, that we sold this together. We did Viva Hollywood, Search for America's numero uno telenovela star, which was
I remember that, yes.
a house, so the Casa de Locos with Maria Conchita Alonso, and we had a Latin wannabe actors doing like face slap. It was very campy, face slapping and thing. And it was actually kind of the prototype for Drag Race format because it didn't only had 1 season, and that was, I think, at the time World of Wonder's highest paid show, and it was like 24-hour surveillance in a house, and the garage was the control room, and we were up in Calabasas and whatever.
And who was the hot? There was a hot guy on that. There was a hot young actor who.
Yeah, Berto had won, and he's become Berto Colon has won it and has become an actor who you see a lot. But there was a lot of cute boys and cute girls.
Okay,
They're gorgeous.
I still see around. It wasn't Charo on it for a hot second.
And then Enrique Pena is also on it.
Okay.
Charo guest starred. We have Mercado.
Oh wait, so did the
Walter Mercado. Walter Mercado.
Yes, that was I remember how everybody fell down when he walked in the room. They just it was like a goddess walked in. Yes.
And Walter Mercado became Rumale, and we used to have El Duelo, where the bottom two of the week had to fight for their lives. And then we would shoot a death scene starring the two bottom people, but we'd have two different endings, and they wouldn't know till they saw it played back which one lived and which one died. And if you died, you had to be eliminated from that.
They were acting for their life.
Exactly. That's where the lipstick for your life came from. Anyway, at the same time,
that show was one of the first ones that I started on too. I was the runner at World of Wonder, and I remember going to the set at Calabasas.
I love it.
I know.
I also remember now with that house, there's something with the sewers that didn't go well, and there was this drip to the sidewalk, and we called it Pooh River. Pooh River, wider than a mile. At the same time, in total contrast, I'll have time to talk about, but at Logo, before Drag Race, see how everything comes together? Joe Del Haro had come to us. Dave Mace was the executive, and Pam Post, and they introduced us to Calpurnia Adams, who I hadn't met.
Oh yeah, sure.
And Calpurnia was famous for lots of things, and they wanted to do a bachelorette show with Calpurnia Adams, and we all get together, and we're like-minded, and we said, and the twist is, there's no twist. Let's just do this thing, because at that time, transgender was still very new in the press awareness. Hard to believe, but true. And it was a breakthrough show. And it was like, what kind of people would date a transgender woman? And the only twist was that one of the suitors, one of the men, was a transgender man who had been in a production of World of Wonders before I got there called Transgeneration, which was on Sundance. Because yes, World of Wonder has been making LGBTQIA programming, more of it and better of it and longer than anyone else. But
since before gay people even existed.
I feel like
before there was letters,
Mappa
exactly.
Was on the show a lot, wasn't he? Didn't Alec Mappa, was he one of the judges?
Alec was the host.
Oh, he was the host. Okay.
And Andrea James, who's Calpurnia's best friend, was there as well along the way. And it had comedy, but it was really heartfelt. But it had no budget. And that's no offense to anyone. To make revolutionary television, you have to deal with revolutionarily small budgets. And so I would drive, and it was also in the Valley, and I would drive back from what at the time was this lush production in 24 hours and cameras and surveillance. And then we didn't even have earpieces, so I'd press myself against like a hedge to hear the elimination ceremony. And Alec, God bless, no prompter, learned everything, memorized the old days of television, people. And Fenton gave me a piece of advice that I repeat to today, because I was just like, Fenton, there's so much. We barely shot anything. Fenton's like, I think shooting too much footage is a waste of time. He goes, it's just because it all goes to the waste, and it's all this stuff and too many decisions and bogs you down. It's like when you have an hour and a half footage to shoot an hour show, you know what you're making. We have
very much. The less you shoot, the less you have to watch. The less people you need to rewatch it.
The less, can we fix it? Can we fix it? And I'll sum up by saying, and I'm going to leave people out. I don't mean to. We've worked with Pam. We just showed Pam Anderson, Fantasia, Drag Race, the $1 Million Listing thing, which you guys started before me, but seeing that franchise grow and casting other people and doing, and just seeing where the company continues to grow, and Wow Presents Plus and all that. I don't take credit for it all, but I've been there for it all, and it's such a.
Stop. You should take credit for a lot of it, as should James, as should Blake. And I mean, I love the fact. Well, first, I'm not very good at these moments, but I cannot believe it has been 18 years. It is a shock, but it has been such an inspiration and a delight. And the one thing I can share is I remember Mark Itkin coming to us saying, Tom Campbell might be looking for an opportunity, because we knew you as this awesome executive at networks. And I was like, Tom Campbell's never going to want to come to us. You know, it's like,
and now we can't get rid of him.
I'm very glad I am too that you.
God bless Mark Itkin, who's such an important player in all of our lives, right?
I was gonna say, and you look exactly the same as you did on 18 years ago. But the fact is that when you came in, you didn't have a beard or mustache, did you? I don't think.
No,
you
and
did.
I had a little bit of hair, and I had like a 34-inch waist.
Yes.
Yeah.
And
Well,
you have always been incredibly kind and incredibly funny and smart and quick and just I can't imagine us without you.
Oh, bless you. I'm very, very happy. Thank you.
For the next 18 years. Shall we move on to number 6?
Number 6.
Good for you.
I got it.
No, it's number 7.
No, definitely we're on number 6.
No, I haven't. Oh,
666.
We are. I love that we're arguing about the
wait,
order.
no, I haven't done my second one. I didn't do number 7.
That's your second
Number
one.
6
Six
is your
is
second one.
you.
Yeah, it's you, baby.
Number 666. You.
And it's Gunpowder. There's a clue.
9, 8,
7.
7. I've never been 6 before.
Honey.
This is
Hold on,
great
hold
radio.
on,
This
wait
is
a
great
second.
radio.
James, it says the script, it says hot historical drama, Gunpowder.
Hold on. I had to get something to drink because I was having brain fog, I guess.
It's the heat.
Number
It's the
6,
heat.
here we go.
It's the heat.
My God, I gotta send a helicopter over to your house to
No,
evac you.
I'm sorry. Start over again, and we will.
Honey, we're not cutting any of this out. This is genius content. Number 6, James.
Number 6, I watched on Netflix a new series called Gunpowder, a 3-part historical series based on the 1605 Gunpowder plot, which was a failed attempt to assassinate who, Fenton?
Guy Fawkes. Guy Fawkes. I know the answer to something. Oh no, the king.
No,
King.
you're incorrect. Who
King
was
Charles.
Guy Fawkes trying to assassinate?
King James.
King James the First. Yes. Okay. Led by a group of Catholics, English Catholics, led by Robert Catesby. And Robert Catesby is played by the dashing Kit Harrington, who was Jon Snow on Game of Thrones. Interestingly, Robert Catesby is Kit Harrington's actual ancestor. So Kit Harrington is his great grandfather. And so Kit Harrington is playing his great grandfather, and he also produced and helped create this show. Also interestingly, Kit Harrington's other great grandfather. Wait, where did Fenton go? Because this is for Fenton.
You walk away all the time during our stories, James.
No, I don't. I try and time it. What?
I'm gonna give you a listening face.
His
must be
other
something-
great grandfather invented the flush toilet. So that's where all the Harrington money has come from, was from flushing poo, the first people to flush poo, which I thought would greatly interest Fenton, but I guess not, because he stormed off.
Maybe he had to go take a poo. Maybe he had to take maybe nature was calling him.
Maybe he needed to go flush his Harrington toilet. Anyway, it's incredibly violent. Tom, this is not for you. There's a scene in the first episode where they strip this old woman naked in the town square. They put this like door on top of her, and they keep putting increasingly heavier and heavier weights on the door, and you hear her ribs crack and crush. You hear her pelvis crack. And each time she's screaming out in pain and horror, and the crowd is so bloodthirsty. They love it. And they keep putting more and more weight on her until she dies. Well, first they chop off her hands, and then she's like bleeding out. And then finally they chop off her head, and the crowd goes bananas. And then another kid, this one, they bring this kid up onto the town square, and they slice him open and pull out his innards in front of him and pull out his intestines. And he's alive to see that, and he's like gasping at seeing his innards being splayed out onto the ground and everything. And then they chop off his arms, and then they chop off his legs, and he's still alive. And then finally they chop off his head. And once again, it's what's so disturbing about it is how graphic it is, A, and how you're seeing all of this, but B, is the way that the townspeople are just cheering and loving it, and
Bloodthirst.
the bloodthirst, yes, and you realize how humans are just terrible people, first of all, and that we are just a half step away from that with MAGAs dragging the liberals into the libtards into the town square. It just feels like, the further we come from the the Middle Ages, the more we backtrack into it, and it's
And you didn't fast forward through any of that. You didn't turn your eyes.
No, in fact, I was cheering it on when they pulled his innards out and were pulling his, intestines into and wrapping it around his neck and things like that. I was cheering and everything as well.
The closest to that I could actually watch is when like Popeye would hit an alligator and it would go up in the air and then come down as luggage. That's the only thing I could. That's where my mind went.
Let me just recap for Fenton, who stormed off as it was getting interesting.
I'm so sorry. I got just, the doorbell rang and it wouldn't stop ringing.
I was talking about how Kit Harington's great-great-great-grandfather invented the flush toilet, so they became famous for helping get rid of the poo, and then you ran off, so you didn't get to see that. And then I was talking about how bloodthirsty the crowds are in this show and how terrible the torture is.
It's going to be like Bonanza or Gunsmoke.
Oh, because Gunpowder, you thought it'd be the Old West. No, the Gunpowder plot was
That's fine. It's about Gunpowder. It's on Netflix.
It's on Netflix, and it is violent. It is terrible. There is some scary villains, and so a couple of hot guys. So
I can't wait to watch it. Actually,
yeah, it's
Number 5.
Number 5.
This is for you, James. Lady in Waiting. This is Anne Glenconner's book. Anne Glenconnor being the Baroness of Holcombe, who was the lady in waiting to Princess Margaret for most of her life. And she wrote apparently you file this under Aristolit. It's a genre of
look at behind you. I've got nothing but Aristolit behind me. Yes.
And I didn't know about it, but the book's been out for a few years. A friend lent it to me, and hers is an extraordinary tale. She was born onto the 5th largest estate in Britain, Holcombe. As a woman, she was not allowed to inherit it. And of course, during World War II, the estate fell into terribly hard times. So they started the Holcombe Pottery, and she literally became a traveling salesperson. And she even went to America on a Greyhound bus with a suitcase full of china and ceramics that was interrupted by a call to come back to be a maid of honor at Queen Elizabeth's coronation. So this is a lot of history. But she is so hilarious. And well, yes, hilarious. I mean, she married Stephen Tennant. No, she married Colin Tennant. The Tennant family. Yeah. Yes. Stephen Tennant, perhaps one of the greatest puffs of England.
Stephen Tennant. I have a great book about Stephen Tennant that is just absolutely bonkers.
Absolutely. Well, her husband, who was Stephen Tennant's brother, no less bonkers.
Well, Stella Tennant, the supermodel, is of the Tennant family. So, I mean, the Tennants are still around.
Right. Absolutely. And she gets married to him on their wedding. The wedding night, they're too tired to do anything. But as you know, she has no idea what is what and how the birds and the bees and what have you. So the second night, they're in Paris on a honeymoon that's supposed to last 6 months. And he says, I'm going to take you on a surprise trip. And she puts on her best fabulous gown and they go off somewhere in Paris. And she thinks, we're going to the Louvre, or we're going to this, or we're going to that. They go to the seedy outskirts and to get to this stinky hotel where he takes her to a room and they have to watch 2 people having sex. And she's like, what the dickens is going on? She says that this began a life of uncomfortable situations. Now, uncomfortable situations is sort of understatement for that sort of British way. Her nanny during the war, she was sent off because of the bombing raid, sent off with her nanny, and her nanny would tie her wrists to the bed at night. I mean, that's an uncomfortable situation, but you might also say it was a profoundly abusive one. And the next time they were in Paris after their honeymoon, which didn't go that well, he took her to see a man and a donkey having sex. And what I would recommend, James, is you could read the book, but you could also get the Audible version, which is just which she reads and just reads it with this lovely sort of very posh English accent, telling these horrendous stories, jaw-droppingly horrendous stories. So,
and don't you dare adjust that reading rate.
I was gonna say, no, you want to listen to every delicious.
Yeah, I mean, there is a sort of, some of the reviews have said, yeah, it's very funny and sort of understated and droll and all that, but also, it's, how English repression gets you through, but also kind of destroys you. And, her kids cried as she dropped them at boarding school, but she still, she cried, but she still drove away. And this sort of idea that the stiff upper lip, it's but I really recommend it.
We all know, I mean, the British sending people to boarding school and everything like that destroyed generation after generation.
Voila.
Look at you, you broken marionette.
Perfect time to take a break, because Night Fever season 4 is here, and episodes with Daphne Guinness, who herself is a lovely British aristocrat, right?
Oh, but this week is Mr. Mickey, who is the special creative director at Paper Magazine and the creative director at Playgirl Magazine, and a man about town raconteur. So it's very fun. We are off and running with this season.
I love it. Let's take a break. Blake, you gonna ask a question, or are we?
Sure. The 2028 Olympics are coming up, and they're right here in Los Angeles. They've been announcing venues. Where do you think they're going to do the swimming?
All right. We'll have the answer right after the break here on the Wow Report on Radio Andy.
You're listening to World of Wonders Wow Report. Things that make us go wow.
Welcome back to the Wow Report. We're counting down top 10 things that made us go wow. We've reached number 4 probably, but before we do that, Blake, the answer to the question.
The Olympics are coming to Los Angeles in 2028, and they've been announcing venues. Where do you think they're going to be doing the swimming parts?
I was here in 1984, and I believe a lot of the swimming took place at UCLA, but I'm expecting it's going to be a punchline. You picked it out because it's odd. It's different. Swimming. They're going to do it at Pepperdine.
I was going to say Pepperdine too, because I applied to Pepperdine because they had that water polo and the hot water polo guys.
No, they're going to do it at the new center. What's it called? The Dome.
It's actually going to be at SoFi Stadium, of all places.
That's what you meant.
That's what I meant, but didn't say.
Wait, they're building a pool. They're building a pool for it, or is their pool already there, or is it just going to be on the football field or something?
I guess they're building a pool. And weirdly, they don't have any softball complexes in the SoCal area, so they're going to be in Oklahoma City. Isn't that strange?
What?
Yeah.
They have to fly to Oklahoma City and back?
I guess Southwest Airlines is going to be the official airline of the.
Like, what's the purpose of having it in Los Angeles if you
I don't know.
Exactly.
Maybe it's a sister city. We don't know about it. Maybe it's a sister city.
Yeah, maybe it's twinned with. There you go.
Well, I don't like it.
Let's carry on counting down. We've reached number 4.
Number 4.
I don't know if it's a good summer for music, but I'm enjoying the pop music because, I love a summer song. I love the song of the summer. It's always the thing. And probably the song of the summer, is Espresso by Sabrina Carpenter. Not my favorite, but very, 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 very catchy.
Wait, is this the follow-up to Feather? I don't think I know it.
It's Espresso. You have to listen to it. It's supposedly made from all samples. Like you can sample things that aren't in the domain, and it's just
you don't know Espresso?
How does it go? Sing it.
It's espresso. Espresso.
We're not gonna sing it.
Espresso. I am singing it perfectly. So
I feel like I'm listening to Sabrina right now.
Charlie XCX. That's exactly what she sounds like. Charlie XCX has a great album, Brat, with Von Dutch, which I enjoy very much. And Hoser, who did Take Me to Church.
I'll take my whiskey neat, my coffee black, and my bed at 3.
Yes. So you're there. But I have to say, the artist that has emerged, like a voice that feels like the voice of Chappell
Oh, well, she
and Good
is.
Luck.
God bless Chapel.
She has many songs, but Good Luck Babe is my fave. And what I love at the end is it slows down. Why
I
haven't
love
people
that
done
too.
this
That's sort of
song?
like who is the one about the who did that?
You?
French Kiss. You're thinking of French Kiss.
No.
What-
I'm thinking of I wake up in the morning and I feel like P. Diddy.
Kesha?
Oh,
Yeah, Kesha. And then she did her slows down in that song too. Anyway, I'm very
No,
sorry.
James, just for you. Just for you. So it made me be nostalgic. This being July 12th, I wanted to flash back on the number one songs on July 12th. And quick guesses. 1964, July 12th. The number one song in the country was a Beach Boys song. Do you know which one?
oh, Good Vibrations.
I Get Around.
Round,
Classic,
round, get
classic.
around. I get around.
Yeah. Beach Boys, I don't know why, because they're Republicans, I think, but their sound is so incredible American, and I love it. Okay. Now, 10 years later, July 12th, 1974, one of the first disco songs.
Ooh, I feel love. I feel love. I feel
That's
love.
later. This is one of the first ones by George McCrae. Woman, take me in your arms.
Really?
Rock
That
me,
you think that is
baby.
disco? Yeah, I guess
I
it
thought-
is. Yeah.
All right. 10 years later, 1984, my first summer in LA. I know this song played all summer long. It was a great summer for music. And it's
Sister
by
Christian overtime has come.
It's by Prince.
Oh, little red Corvette. No.
Raspberry Beret.
No, his movie had come out.
Purple Rain.
and it was When Doves Cry.
When Doves Cry. Oh, I hate
Picture
that.
you
I hate
will,
when-
picture.
Ugh,
Okay.
if I never hear Prince again, it'll be too soon.
10 years later, the group was called All for One. 1994.
I saw the sign. No, that's Ace of Base.
I swear, but the
And the stars in the sky.
Yes, this is fun, right? We're almost done. 2004, July 12th. Usher, Burn. Kind of came and went.
Ooh, I like that one.
What's
Good,
Burn?
good, good.
Sing it, Blake. Sing it, Blake.
Gotta let it burn.
Gotta let it burn.
Sing
Gotta
along,
let it
everyone. If you know the
burn.
songs,
Gotta let it
sing
burn.
along.
Ethel Merman sings Burn.
2014, July 12th. It was a Charlie XCX was featured on his song by an Australian rapper.
Fancy.
I'm so fancy by Iggy Azalea. And the number one song this week, July 12th, 2024, is Shabuzi, a bar song, Tipsy, which is he is a artist. It's he was featured on the Beyonce album, and it's been a slow burn song. It's number one on the pop charts. It was also number one on the country charts. It replaced Texas Hold'em, so it was back to back number one black artist on the country chart. I'd sing it, but I can't. But it is such a retro song because it's all just about like I miss her, so I'm gonna go to the bar. I'm gonna get tipsy. Everybody get tipsy. Everybody get tipsy. And his name's Shabuzi. So I mean,
Shabuzi. What's Shabui? What's that from?
I don't know.
It's Seven Brides for Seven Brothers or Music Man. Or no, it's Music Man, isn't it? Shabuti.
Our knowledge is vast.
So that is 50 years of hits every 10 years, right?
Yes.
Is July 12th.
Songs of the summer. Songs of the summer.
James, number 3.
Number 3.
Number 3, I need to bring it down a little bit right here because I have been so upset, depressed, shocked, and alarmed at the mainstream media in the wake of the Biden debate, where you have in the 24 hours afterwards, everybody sort of doubling down, sort of coming out saying they wanted Biden to get out of the race, that he was terrible, it was awful. You had CNN, MSNBC, Fox, of course, ABC, NBC, CBS, Daily Beast, HuffPo, Washington Post, New York Post, The View. You had all these people who should be supporting him coming out saying it's time to get rid of him. It's time. He needs to step aside. It's over. He can't win. And then in 2 days, 3 days, 4 days, 5 days, That's all they talked about. That's all. Anytime you turned on cable news, 24 hours a day, they just kept saying the same thing over and over again. The worst of them were the moderators, Jake Tapper and Dana Bash, who Jake Tapper, I counted 23 times in 1 hour, said that he needs to step aside and go away. So it felt to me like a slow moving coup. Like they had all gotten the exact same talking points, and it was very Republican that they were all falling in line, and every single one of them. 10 days pass, 11 days pass, and still it is all anyone is talking about. And it gets to the point where you can't even go to the news. You can't even every single day it's on the Hill, 3 more senators to call for him to step down, blah, 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 blah. It got to 2 weeks before it started to turn. And people are now saying that they're falling in line behind him. But for those 2 weeks, it was a relentless drip, 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 drip.
I hate to say this, but the drip isn't over.
No, it isn't. It isn't. And every day you keep seeing it over and over again. But what I had said last week, I want to just reiterate very quickly, because the Republicans, when Trump does something like that, when Trump fucks up and says something crazy, he immediately doubles down and says 20 more crazy things, and 20 more scandals come out, and it floods the airways, and it's too much to do, and everybody freaks out, but no scandal can stick. And the fact that they did not know to do that is so frustrating. The fact that they all just kept doubling, tripling, quadrupling down on this one thing instead of moving on. At the same time, just this month alone, SCOTUS, the Supreme Court, gave him absolute immunity, gave Trump absolute immunity for his crimes. Those 2 trials, the January 6th trial and the documents trial, are gone. They are over because he had immunity for an official act. So nobody talked about that. Nobody has talked about this Project 2025, which is terrifying. They have come out with a list of their agenda, and their agenda is to strip LGBTQ people of their rights, to strip women of their rights, to take old people's Social Security, to take away the Department of Education. I mean, all of this terrible stuff keeps coming out, and all anyone is doing is talking about Biden and his cognitive abilities. Well, I am riding with Biden. There's it's not even a question. It's not even a question for me. I don't care if he is in a coma. I am voting for him. And the fact that people like Sonny Hostin on The View would not understand that, and would jeopardize, imperil this coming election is
Democracy.
beyond disturbing. So I'm very sorry, but I just had to get that out.
Well, I know, I love that you did get that out, and I feel like I'm going to yield my number 2 time as you continue this, because I want to hear what Tom has to say, and I only have a very tiny thing to contribute to it anyway.
Well, it's funny because I do have a part 2 to this, but Tom, go ahead.
Even if what you're saying is right, James, and I'm not saying you're not right, I lean toward you. It's like, will this assault ever end? Is the assault going to kill us? I don't know. It's so scary. I have a strong opinion, but I'm scared and like in limbo, and it's like a slow motion.
Well, that's what I was saying. It was a slow-moving coup that the media all went on.
But you see, but James, I just chime in a little itty bitty briefly, because I'm a sort of history, the rest is history podcast addict, and been listening to all these podcasts about the Nazis. The interesting thing about the rise of Hitler was that he was so enabled by the opposition and by the unforced errors they committed, as if in the glare of something oncoming, failing to grapple, failing to understand, failing to recognize what the problem was, and just committed error after error after error. And I would put this sort of this whole age Biden thing, but okay, it's the new butter emails, but it's
okay. It is, but on top of that, I'm glad you mentioned that, because these errors, there was an error that happened this week that was one of the most jaw-dropping things I've ever seen with the mainstream media, where suddenly it became this big, huge story that a Parkinson's doctor had gone to visit Joe Biden 8 times. Well, that wasn't true at all.
True.
No, it wasn't true at all. And when I saw that, my first thought was, well, wait a minute. He just signed a bill about Parkinson's, and he was having, this doctor come in and is a specialist to talk about it. It took me 3 minutes to figure out that it wasn't true. And the New York Times knew that. And yet they still ran with the story. And when they were confronted with it, they doubled down. And we found out that the doctor goes every month to visit, to take care of the GIs, 1,000 GIs a month, and everyone in the White House staff. So not only was it not true, and the mainstream media knew that it wasn't true, but they refused to acknowledge their mistake, and they doubled down on it, which is so Trumpian and Nazi. It's what the Nazis, it's like what you just said. Like these errors keep happening, and instead of acknowledging the errors, they're pushing them.
It is a pandemic of brainwashing.
Yeah.
Because what I was going to talk about, I'm not really going to talk about, and I don't know if I'll even finish it, but
Number 2.
I'm reading this new book, Apprentice in Wonderland, by the co-editor-in-chief of Variety, Ramin Setudi. And he, after Trump was out of office, he went to Trump to say, I want to write a book about The Apprentice. Trump gave him so much time, interview after interview. Basically, all Ramin did is take along compilation tapes of his appearance on The Apprentice and play them to Trump. And they had these 5-6 hour interviews in Trump Tower. And it's interesting because in the first 15 pages of the book, he points out that Trump struggled with facts, chronology of events, couldn't remember what he accomplished, didn't even remember that he had been interviewed just the other week by this same man. So Trump was giving interview after interview, not even remembering that he'd ever met him before or been giving interviews already. So this cognitive decline,
like that.
This cognitive decline. But the weird thing is, here's a book about it, talking about The Apprentice. It's so New York Timesian in the sense that they, on the one hand, pretend to be in a certain position and a certain point of view or a certain level, but they cannot resist talking about it, doing it, and putting and so they end up. I cannot even finish the sentence. It just all infuriates me so much.
It sucks up all the energy. It's all we do is talk about it. Obviously, we want to talk about it. Sometimes husbands and wives disagree, and they don't want to get into it. And no one's, no Democrats that I know. It's just an awful moment. It's an awful moment, and it, like you're saying, the leaking and all that. It's getting worse. It's spreading around. I don't know. And if I'm torn, not torn, but I'm feeling the pressure. I'm feeling the pressure of being pulled in different directions. George Clooney, Nancy Pelosi, like these. It's like Biden stays the tide, but it's just like the fact that we're having to talk about this and feel so lost. I don't know. I'm not apathetic. I'm not pulling away. I am just torn like never before. Just in dread, I guess. In dread.
I have something to chew up. RuPaul's DragCon, July 19th and 20th at the Los Angeles Convention Center. Come there and let's talk about it there. Hundreds of queens will be there, actually almost 200. And we'll be doing live tapings of Bring Back My Girls with T.S. Madison, of course. Touch-ups with Raven, of course. Hey Queen with Johnny McGovern. It's going to be a really fabulous couple of days. By the
way, it's perfect timing. We need to all come together and have a good time. So thank God for DragCon.
When we come back, the number one thing this week that made us go wow here on the Wow Report.
You're listening to World of Wonders Wow Report. Things that make us go wow.
Welcome back to the Wow Report. I'm Fenton here with Tom, celebrating 18 wonderful years of you at Wow. Thank you, Tom, so much. And with James, no less thanks to you, James. No less.
Thank you.
Maybe.
Thank you. Yes, thank you.
And Blake, of course. And we've been counting down the top 10 things that make us go wow. And we've reached number one.
Number one.
Now, I don't know if you guys have been paying attention to your social media. The Tuah girl. Do you know have you heard of this? Do you know what I'm talking about?
It's passed by my eyes, but please put it in context for me. Help me understand.
Okay, so this girl, this is straight memes, straight people memes, heterosexual memes is what it is. So I don't expect you to know what this is, but it's taken the world by storm. So a girl a pretty thin white girl is on her, social medias, and she's explaining to people how to give a blowjob. And she says that you hawk up a loogie, hawk Tuah, and you spit in your hand and then you rub it on the dick and or something like that. I don't know. It's been a while for me,
Classic.
so I don't quite remember. But hawk Tuah girl, and it took off like a bit, like it went around the world in 20 seconds, and people are loving this woman, and she's suddenly she is the biggest star on the planet, and everywhere she goes, say hawk Tuah, say hawk Tuah, say hawk Tuah. So she says hawk Tuah wherever she goes. They're doing a documentary about her life. They did. They've already. Hollywood. Hollywood has come.
Tuah people
moved to Hollywood in the 3 days since this happened. She's in talks with, I can't remember who, Universal or somebody, to do a reality show, and it looks very much like it's happening. This is Bad Bobby all over again. What was her name, Blake? Bad Bobby, Bad Baby.
Oh, Bad Baby.
This is the Bad Baby syndrome all over again. And then what upset me more than anything was they had got a club gig last night, and they paid her $30,000 to come to the club and say hawk Tuah on the microphone. And I was like, well, my first thought was I was in the wrong business all along. And then I thought, well, wait a minute, I was in the club business and nobody ever gave me $30,000 to do anything.
Because you weren't giving tutorials
I can say hawk Tuah. I can throw a loogie. Like, why is the world the way that it is? That this woman can give a blowjob tutorial, say one funny thing, and the rest of her life is taken care of.
Well, I think this is a story that will continue to unfold, and we'll she's the next Vivian Lee. I don't know. We'll see. We'll see.
But I was watching her give a tour of her hometown on social media, and her grandma was like, hawk Tuah, like the whole family, and like the little nieces and nephews are all like hawk Tuah. Like
I guess the
got
message
whole
there
family
is you got to fall in line, right? Everyone's got to say the same thing and fall in line.
And it's like Grandma Hawk. It's like, here comes Grandma Hawk Tuah. Like it's just. I mean,
this is the future conservatives line.
Yes, this is the MAGA world that you have created.
Speechless. Thank you for listening. Thank you, Tom. Thank you, James. Thank you, Blake. Until the next hawk Tuah, go out and do something that makes the world go wow.
Wow, hawk Tuah.